Okay, let's see. There we go. Then we got the audio coming in. Fantastic. All right, we're going to do a quick mic check as well on this end. Make sure everything's okay. Okay, yep. That is aligned. Great. Although, where am I hearing that now? Okay, yep. That is aligned. That's interesting. Where am I hearing that now? Oh, got it. Okay. The joys of finding random internet tabs that, well, the joy of having random internet tabs with sound playing and having trouble finding things. Anyhow, hello, how's everybody doing? I see Quab in the chat. Hello, hello. All right, let's see. All right, this is good. All right, awesome. Welcome, everyone. We're back for another session of Build with Ben. For those who don't know me, my name is Ben Hong, and I'm a Vue core team member, Nuxt ambassador, general, just contributor to the open source community. Love being in the web community. And basically, the stream is all about building web things. And so, anyone, as you have questions regarding either web development, front end, I mean, gosh, if you want to even talk about back end, I'm happy to entertain that too, although I can't necessarily speak from a place of expertise. But as most of my specialty is on the front end side of things. But that said, happy to always talk full stack and other solutions as well when it comes to just building software things. Because it's just a lot of fun to build things. Hey, I see Burgeon's here in the chat. How's it going? And so, yep. As far as Build with Ben goes, we're here to just code along, hang out. And as I mentioned before, as you have questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. But the topic for today, at least for the goalpost that we have for this particular session, is up until this point, I've been working along with trying to get Ghost CMS integrated so that we can start having a unified platform for my site and resources going forward, which has been slow going, I must admit. But one of the things I really love about this stream is it helps keep me a bit accountable. And even though it's a lot slower than I'd like, we are making progress in terms of piecing together the right infrastructure that I'd like to ideally have in the long run when it comes to releasing content, whether it's blog posts, articles, sharing about different courses that I've released so that you all can have that information. That's really what I'm aiming to build. So slow and steady wins the race, as the fables go. So with that said, the problem we're trying to solve now at this point, because we've been talking about like Ghost CMS and that kind of stuff, is it's still not quite integrated properly. And so what I want to be able to do in this session is, one, make sure that any blog posts coming from Ghost are rendering correctly on my site and thus also being generated, hopefully. And then from there, we hopefully will have some time to do some refactoring to see how I might be able to track some other data a little bit better, especially with my system in Obsidian and that kind of stuff. So we're going to be exploring all of that in this session. So with that said, let's kick it off. Hey, I see Marco in the chat. How's it going? All right, let's go. All right. So, oh, great. Marco, question here. Is it possible to use Nuxt content and Strapi? Basically, any integration can happen with Nuxt content and other CMSs. The only thing that I can envision that might be a slight conflict is in terms of like a source of truth. So what you probably don't want to do is have like Nuxt content have like a duplicated markdown file with Strapi. I think that might be trickier to do in that regard. But in terms of like, can you have multiple contents plugging into Nuxt 3? That should be totally fine. In fact, that's what we're going to be doing basically with Ghost CMS. And so I'll be basically playing around with different strategies for how we can ensure that we have the Nuxt content stuff for when we know that developers, or for that matter, if we know that we want a very specific style of blog posts that especially uses Vue components inside of Markdown, that's a great case for Nuxt content in my mind. And then for those who might be dealing with more traditional content authoring, so whether you're just writing some text with images and that kind of thing, fairly standard, but you just want to schedule it in advance, then something like Strapi might be a great way to go in with that. Hey, I see Dudeman in the chat. What up? All right. So, all right, let's show the problem in action, shall we? So if we go right now to the blog, you'll see that right now I have my battle personas, which is actually a markdown file in my repo. And you'll also notice that we are also, when we go to getting back in this fails. This totally breaks. And so that's the problem, is because this right here, getting back in the arena, is coming from Ghost CMS. And basically there's nothing in here at the moment. And this is just being pulled separately from the actual detailed page. So let's see, Charlie here in the chat. Are we looking into Obsidian into Nuxt? A little bit, actually. I think we're actually going to have time for that today. Hopefully, fingers crossed, because I'm pretty sure I know the solution to the problem I'm trying to solve. And if so, hopefully we can feed some Obsidian files into Nuxt content, basically, is what I'm hoping for. And that way we have an ability to query a new area of data that's managed a bit differently, which we'll get into. But part one, let's fix this bug right now where my blog posts are not working as correctly, as anticipated. So what I'm going to do here is let me go ahead and bring up VS Code. There we go. Boom. And then let's bump this up a little bit so people can see a little easier. All right, great. And then the next thing we need to do now is let's start up our local dev environment. Okay, great. Bam. All right, so let's bring this over and let's open up it here. Great. Local 3000, looking good. So we go to blog. There we go. Getting back in the arena. Opens it up. It fails, which totally makes sense because right now this is completely different data model. So what we can do to prove my point, because I always like to kind of break things down by piece, we'll look at the blog post list, which is a great way of sort of displaying this. So we have blog post previews, right? We have a bunch of previews going through. And then what we can do, actually, what I should be able to do, if I look carefully, let's see. Blog post previews coming from V4. Okay, wait, this filtered list right here. So filtered list, where's that coming from? Filtered list is coming from up here, which is a computed property that basically merges together a bunch of stuff. It looks like is blog post, is ready to publish. Yep. But where did I put the ghost stuff? I had it at one point. Oh, that's right. I remember now. Okay, if I go backwards one, so where is blog post list getting called? Oh, I remember. It's getting called in the blog index page. So here is where we're looking at it. And you can see here that we're passing in the all posts under lists. And all posts is currently merging two different values, as you can see here. Now, the problem is the ghost post and the local posts have different structures. We can show this actually pretty clearly by if we just do, let's see, local posts. And then we'll do a pre here of ghost posts. And then actually to make sure we can show this a little bit easier, let's just wrap it in a div. And let's do a display grid column template. Oh, grid template column. Did I mess that up? Yep. And then just 1FR, save. And then if we open this and full screen this, did it do the way? Oh my gosh, this is so large. This didn't quite work the way I wanted to. Ba-bum-bum. Disclose content, display grid. Actually, maybe I can just display flex and call it a day. I might have overcomplicated that piece. Nope, didn't like that. Why didn't it like that? This is the pre, this is the div. Oh, div flex? Nope. Didn't like that either. 100 pixels. Really doesn't like this. 1000 pixels. Text wrap overflow. This is interesting. Where's my overflow? Okay, weird. I was kind of hoping just to get two different columns here, but apparently maybe it's because the pre-blocks are too big. They're auto-flowing. Did that help? That didn't help either. All right, we're not going to debug that. Okay, but we can see local posts here. Looks like this with this path, tags, body. This body has a bunch of H2 stuff. Whereas if we scroll down to the ghost stuff, which will be easier if I just delete this to render it so we have less scrolling, you can see here it's just tile export date tags path. So it's actually pretty different in that regard. Okay, so knowing that, we got to figure out what we're going to do. Oh, I see a question here from Quab. Can you write data to Ghost CMS or just read? I believe you can actually post data to Ghost CMS now that you're mentioning it. I don't see why. Their API should be pretty flexible, but we can... Actually, let's just check that real quick. Ghost CMS write API blog. So the content API is here. It's RESTful, meaning we can do a bunch of get. Can we do any post? So it might be, looks like according to the resources, this is a get concept. Paginations. I don't see any clear posting actually. So to answer your question, it looks like in core concepts architecture. Yes. Okay. So as far as I can tell, you can't actually post like content to Go CMS directly. Actually, let me just do a post real quick. Post like that. Nope, not case sensitive. Post. Yeah, it looks like nope. Let's see, programmatically. Accessing content programmatically, yes. Okay, it kind of makes sense. I know that some, does it really though? It says the detail REST API. Anyhow, okay. So it looks like for the most part, you get your key version header, but these are all GET requests. I don't see anything that's like update post. So as far as we can tell for now, no programmatic updates to Go CMS. All right, so now that we know this is this, we want to be able to actually fetch a specific post, theoretically. So let's jump back into this. We know that we're rendering out the blog preview, okay, but what's happening is that when we're coming up into the blog detail page, and where that's happening here is inside of pages blog slug. And so you'll notice here for the slug part, this is the new syntax in Nuxt 3 that basically tells you that this is a dynamic property, and it's not like, it's not the equivalent of saying /blog/slug.html. Whoops. So much for autocomplete. So this is not what's happening. It's basically doing a dynamic piece where it's now slug that it'll automatically populate based on whatever is in there. So that's why you can see here inside of this particular query that it'll grab the slug just like this. Now, the only thing that I'm thinking of at this point, the easiest way to solve this in my mind is to detect basically where it's coming from. And so based on that basic theory, I'm trying to think. Oh, well, nope, this is false. I actually can't pass that in. I had this idea where I was going to like destructure the data in such a way that I would say where the original source is from, but that's actually not possible. So dare I do this? I want to say then, let's see. If post cannot be found, okay, hold on. How about this? Let's do this. So data post. All right, once again, let's be very specific. If local post is this, right, just like this. Let's say change all this real quick. Okay. So we do all that. That should still work. So let's bump this over 30,000. Boom. This is the blog. Great. Battle of personas. Okay, this is still working. The question though is if local post does not exist, then what do we do? So in that particular case, we want to probably have a slightly different rendering strategy, because if we see right here, local post does use the Nuxt content renderer content doc, which is not where we're going to get from Ghost. So what we want to do then for now, for the sake of just making sure something works, let's just comment this two sections out. And then, yeah, let's do this. route.params.slug, and then just like that. And then, yes. Okay, so we save this now. Battle of Personas is correct, which is great. Getting back in the arena is correct. So now what I want to do is just run a simple test. If it cannot find local post, we need to basically say, hey, actually, it's not this thing. So basically, if local post is true, dot value is true, let's say, then we're going to say log found it in Nuxt content. Otherwise, we'll just log it should be in Ghost, just like that. Okay. So if we, let's see, refresh, let's see, go to console. Oh, sorry, this is probably hidden by my head, I realize. So let's bump it over here real quick. So it looks like it says this should be in Ghost, which is true. I do know that for a fact. And then Battle of Personas is found in Nuxt content. Okay, so we actually have a simple check at this point, which is nice. Which means then that we can theoretically say, content source is equal to a computer property. Oh no, that's too complicated. I realize I'm about to create a cache property for whether it's from Ghost or from Nuxt content, but that's overkill. Let's see. Quab here, I didn't know. What sanity CMS. I know it works with Oh, so Strappy does have a way to update programmatically. You know what's funny? You think with these APIs there should be a way, because what you're basically, if you have a way to fetch data in a structured way, as long as the developer follows the way to post data to your CMS, you would think it would update too. But you know, we'll look into that. I imagine there's a way to integrate with the CMS in terms of the API for updating. My guess would be it probably has some, like, it's probably in the admin API. It might be somewhere else. But anyhow, let's fix this problem first. So if you know this, this is correctly detecting. Now, what this tells me then is, okay. What does this tell me? This tells me we always do a search first here with async data, but then otherwise we do the other one. Ooh. Hello, Danny Felice. Thanks for subscribing. All right, here's what I'm going to do instead. We're going to try this. We're going to call this ghost post, and let's see, how good is the filler? Query ghost. Interesting. Post param slug. I don't know if this would work. Let's see real quick. If we look at the blog index, we'll see here that we're using useFetch API ghost, and then the ghost returns a bunch of stuff. So that doesn't look totally right, because the API ghost right now, to be fair, let's look at this real quick. If we're looking at the server that's being sent out with ghost, we do know that ghost is just fetching all of content, but we really want is to fetch a specific content. So if we do a get at a specific API route, will that work? Okay, so what I'm thinking here is, what if we did inside of the ghost folder, we had like a slug.ts. I don't know if this is going to work. Let's find out. Nuxt.com. We're going to look at the APIs real quick. Search API. Nuxt add testing server API layer. Great. API layer. Wait, this is not what I'm thinking at all. Directory structure server. Yep, everything in API will be scanned. Yep. I'd ideally like to pass a specific parameter. Okay, it looks like I'm thinking about this slightly differently. Okay, rather than doing it in the URL, we're gonna actually do it via the event. Okay, that's fine. I can manage that. So let me close this so I can see the chat. Okay, great. So that means that inside of this event, actually, we're gonna go ahead and log event. Just like that. Event.method, I believe. Nope, requests. Oh, this autocomplete is not helping me. Okay, it's an H3 event, which is great. But if it's an H3 event, what do I get from it? All right, we're gonna find out the long way. Okay. So localhost 3000, right? Blog, refresh, blog. Okay, so we know here that when we fetch from here, we're fetching from the ghost. But, oh, of course, it's only being logged in here. So we can see here response, and we have the request, incoming message, great. Method, that's what I thought. Okay, so if event.request.method is equal to post, basically we're gonna actually post something, great. Otherwise we will assume it's a get, and we will do this stuff. Just like that. So if this works as intended, this should be a refresh, stays good. Now in the event we post, let's do this, return a string. This worked, just like that. So now when we're on the slug on this particular page, I'm gonna do this slightly differently. I'm gonna say use fetch, and then slash API slash ghost, but then we're gonna do method post like this. Okay, that should keep it simple enough. Then we'll log out the ghost post dot value. Save. Okay, so now if we go into getting back in the arena, ooh, cannot stringify a function, something uber broke. We're gonna find out what uber broke. Bum bum bum. Live API key for ghost. Which one? If you're referring to inside of here, no, this isn't this key should be fine. It's a public one, so because basically if anyone wants to fetch my stuff, that's possible anyhow. So this stuff should be fine. If not, then we'll change it later. I'm not too concerned. Really behind on Vue 3. So Charlie, so in terms of Vue 3 stuff, basically we have the composition API, which if you're familiar with React Hook, it's similar to that in that regard, in that we can basically do exportable reactive modules. And it's a really clean way to share code, which I know that React community has been doing for a while. So in Vue, there's this whole alternative way of doing code reshare. So happy to do more on that in another session, though. And feel free to DM me if you have any other questions about that. Okay, my only problem, though, is the use fetch here is not happy with me. And, oh, I think, nope, lost it. This worked. Is it because it can't return an object? This works like that. Refresh. Nope, can't stringify a function. So getting back in the arena is failing here, and I'm gonna guess it's because of this thing that I created. So if I comment this out and refresh, yeah, so what I did broke. Can I just do this? Const ghost data equals use fetch. So basically do this part right here where I do slash API slash ghost and then method post, just like that. So nothing's breaking there, which is good. And then if we look down here, it should be in ghost is getting logged. But it's interesting because ghost data is not, oh, wait, hold up. Ghost data dot value. And then refresh. Undefined, undefined, undefined. That's not good. Okay. I'm a little stuck. Let's see. It should be in ghost. That's happening here, all the way down here, which is good. But it's actually the use fetch is hitting the ghost API with a method of post. And the post is not triggering some sort of return as a result, which is surprising. See, Bjorn here in the chat. I've been trying to learn Nuxt 3. Don't really get data fetching. Sometimes I try to load external API data and page stays blank. If I reload the page, then the fresh data shows up. You know why? My guess is there's some sort of hook that's going on. So I can duplicate this right now on my site, I believe, as well. So you can see here, Bjorn, if I open up and I click blog, oh, it's working now, but earlier in the stream, it was, I'm used to this actually at this point. For some reason at the beginning when it's like fetching everything, there's like an error where it stays, like it almost looks like it's not progressing, but then when you hit Command R, all of a sudden all the content shows up. I will keep that in mind. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? Hold up. I'm gonna jot this down in Obsidian real quick because it's something I do wanna look into at some point. So let me add that into my notes. So Bjorn, thanks for bringing it up. Yeah, it's something that I noticed that it is a little bit weird. I don't know if there's like a delay between Nitro or something, but anyhow, this should just work. I mean, let's see. What can I do to prove that something is working? Use fetch ghost.value. That's fine. Okay, so what I can do, okay, let's prove this works. Again, always going down to the simplest thing possible. Return message, hello. Let's see, hello friends, save. All right, so getting back in the arena, coming back in. Yeah, I get there's no date property, but I would argue params.slug. Yeah, wait, I don't need the date. Why are you mad about the date? Back in the arena. Yep. Cannot read property of date. I'm not trying to get date. This is frustrating. Because this stuff is all done. Yep, doesn't like that either. Let me comment this out and then just... All right, hold up. It just feels like everything's just crashing. All right, yep. Nitro built. Still not happy. Okay. Oh, silly me. Oh, this is what happens when you when you're on production and things aren't working. Okay, yep, there we go. Ghost.value is not iterable. Sure. Okay, sure. Okay, now this makes more sense. Okay. I was like, what is going on? Always check to make sure you're on localhost, everybody. Just as a reminder. All right, it should be in Ghost. Great. We're making sure this works. And the way we're making sure this works is we're commenting this out. Turn message, hello, friends. Boom, refresh. Okay, this is a little bit weird. Because we're using the fetch, then res JSON, I guess. Nope, that didn't work either. Log response. Yep, response.data. Oh, yeah, so data.value. This makes sense. Okay, so it is broken down. It's just not like this. So like that. Response data. Response dot data dot value. Okay, so hold up. This is where I think we're doing the same thing again. Data ghost post like this. Ghost post dot value like that. Refresh. Woof. Did not love that. Just like that. Okay, there we go. Proxy message. This should be friends. Great. So we have that thing working again. Maybe I just had the wrong thing destructured the entire time, which would be silly. Res.json developer. Yep. All right, refresh. This works. Hello, friends. Save. Okay. I just forgot to destructure. Okay. That works. So it is detecting it's a post. It is a post. That's great. When it's a post, we want to add a body to that. And this is where we can do like the slug. Because I'm pretty sure if we look at the Ghost CMS now, Ghost CMS docs get post. And then we come on into here. We want to get a post. We want to get a single post. I see get post ID or slug. Okay, so ID would be a pain. So this part is nice. So if we can get it from this thing, then it should work. Okay, I feeling good about this. So let's keep going. So in other words, what we're going to do here is actually we can nope. This is a different fetch. Const ghost post is equal to await fetch. But our structure is a little bit different here, where we're going to fetch here from content, and instead of posts and then just a key, we're going to do slug slash, and then hopefully this works. Let's try this real quick. We don't need to include the, actually, let's include the tags. I think I'm going to want that later. Do event.body, event.request.body.slug. Okay, and then I realized I'm actually jumping a little bit ahead right now, is I should make sure I can actually see said thing. So let's make sure we're doing that bit correctly. Just like this. Event body requirement dot slug like this. So if this works as intended, I should refresh and nothing is happening because it should be in here, but nothing is going on, which is hello blue. Save. Okay, refresh. Hello blue is working. Event.request is not working. Okay, log out event.request. Body is correct. Ah, but the body is JSON. Okay, yep, got it. Okay. So we can say const body equals json.parse event.request.body. And then now we should actually have a proper thing here that's being logged. There we go, .slug. So then I should be able to actually just grab the slug directly from the body, just like that. And now we should be able to simplify this to just say slug. And then once we grab all this, we should be able to log the ghost post, just like that. So we refresh that. Hey, I'm seeing something, which is exciting. Okay, great. So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and let's follow the same structure we did where we just return the post. For now, let's just return ghost posts, just like that. Okay, now that we have ghost posts, we should be able to ghost posts as a pre. Let's do that. Refresh. Hey, look at that. Oh, Bjorn here. I think you can use body in your server route if you want. Wait. Yes, of course. I think Bjorn here is totally right. That would be a better, not courses, ghost. Yeah. Const use slug equals use body. Not being auto completed, but we're gonna learn new stuff. This is the awesome part of pairing together. Use body. I actually have seen, I thought I saw that, but for whatever reason I'm not seeing that. Server use body. Nope. Use body next 3. Now we're going back to Google. Let's see. Body parser use head. That's not it. Okay, cannot find that composable right now. So Bjorn, if you know where that is documented, I usually like to send that to people before using that stuff. So we'll have to try that in a little bit. In the meantime, let's continue on this issue. So there's basically an HTML and a title. So really though, then what that tells me is we have 2 different templates right now for the sake of finishing something. So it's going to be something like this at this point. So we're going to have a template that's vif local post. It's going to do all this stuff. And template here. And then velse this stuff. Okay. So let's see if this works as intended. If we refresh, we're seeing this as intended, which is great. Go back to the blog and refresh. And then we go back to battle personas. This renders as expected. But when we're inside of the blog and we switch over to getting back in the arena, this is good. All right, this is promising because now we can use this to basically shorten this up a little bit. So let's grab this and let's copy some stuff over here. Format published date will have to be something we change as something that method that inputs something, because right now it's just something that's computed. And if we really want, it could really just be a function, no point in that. And then we will have a date string that's basically our ISO date string that's being passed in. So then we can say ISO date string like this. And then we can say when was it published? Published at. So then hopefully it should work. It would be then ghost posts dot published at, like that. Okay. The only thing I've realized though that probably won't work with this, as I'm thinking about this, is that the post, believe it or not, is returning all of said posts when it really should only return the one. So rather than having to do that on the front end, I'm really just going to say, basically, once it's a post, just return the first item. That should do the trick. Did not like that. Why did it not like that? Oh, right, because it's no longer... Nope. I'm lost. Ghost post, ghost post, ghost post. Let me stop this first. Refresh. This should just be the object now, is what should be happening. But that's not what we're seeing. Unexpected token in JSON. Ah, okay. Is of type unknown. Revert, refresh. I see. Dot post 0. Silly me. Oh, great. I see some docs here. I think use body 0x now here in the chat. Next, okay, great. Request with body. Okay. Okay, we're gonna get to this in a second. Let me make sure I finish this thought. All right, so we have the actual object now. So we're returning the actual individual post. And again, I know I could do more checks to see if everything exists. But again, since this is my microsite, I have a fairly decent amount of control. I'm not as concerned with that happening. So this means that then this should work. Yep, June 1st happening right here. Then we have your blog title here. Again, there will probably be better ways to refactor this HTML, but I'm not worried about this at the moment. Ghost post dot title like this. Great. Then we no longer need this. And then rather than the content doc, this is where it changes, honestly. Then we have a template v HTML equals ghostpost.html. And I think if I self-close this, that did not do the trick. Okay, maybe div. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Excellent. Okay, boom. There is said HTML. There is said post. A lot of styling things I'd love to change, but one thing at a time. So what this tells me, though, is we've got, yep, velse, ghost, local, then ghost. Honestly, this works. So what we want to do right now is just test to make sure this actually works. So if I run a build on said thing, npm run generate, what this should do, at least I'm thinking, oof, broken, costs. Okay, yeah, that's bad. Okay, it's trying to do a slug for everything. That's not good. Okay, so slight bug. Okay, first thing first, micro commit. We have a basic MVP for this thing that's working, which is good. So if we go to blog index, for example, we need to clean up a couple things. We need to delete this here. Ghost post is fine. Local preview is fine. But what's happening, I think, when we're doing the generation, because you saw there were a ton of errors showing up earlier. So let's see, ghost fetch. Yeah, so I updated the API here. Yeah, okay. So git commit feature, user can see ghost content on blog site directly. Yep, okay. Now that we have all this stuff, the problem though is that it actually is trying to fetch all the things here. Like you see there's ghost posts and this. So that's not great. So what we probably want to do then, honestly, is we do want to do this basic check. We'll check to make sure this exists inside of here. And if it does, then great. Or if not this, okay. Really, we only need to do the check there, I think. And then if it is, then we fetch this stuff accordingly. I think I want to do it this way. Ghost post, yes. So now that I think about it, I'm defaulting to assuming there's a local post, which means I actually do think this should be flipped. I'm going to assume, I'm going to check if ghost post is even a thing, because if it's not, then flip it and do local. So as your local markdown is always my default. I don't know if this is actually going to work, but we're about to find out. Oh, something crashed. Oh, that makes sense. I didn't start the dev server. That's that. Local dev environment. Okay, so that it doesn't like at all. That's interesting though, because if you can't find local posts, then it really should just skip to the next thing. But I think I got, let's see. Let ghost post equals ref. I wonder how badly this is gonna, yeah, this is imploded pretty hard. This is tricky. How do I merge these properly? Because right now, if I don't do a check, it does technically exist. Like this does work, right? So if I refresh, that looks good. But you would think though that as long as there's no data, it really should be fine. Like it's bewildering. It's kind of interesting to me that the generation is acting up as a result. Like it's checking every single fetch. So, but maybe that is, I mean, as ugly as that is, maybe that's okay. Because you're looking here, it says ghost post access during render, but it's not find. Oh, no. This is what I'm talking about. Not found, benkozen.io. Yeah, because it's running that check against every single one, even though it doesn't count. And this slug should really only happen if you know it's a ghost, but I don't know how to tell it that it's not. I currently don't have a way of distinguishing that. But you can certainly break it up into different directories, but I'm a big fan of letting this try to integrate together in a pretty smooth way. Okay, hold up. Let's just try this real quick, because again, we're not looking to, this might not be the perfect solution, but it should work. So we said if ghost post, otherwise do the default. Okay. Let's do this real quick. Refactor, switch ghost to conditional, and then let's push. I'm kind of curious what will happen here. This is, but we're about to find out. So if we, expected a target. Okay, well, let's go. So we go to my Netlify site. I'm not sure why it's not letting me do this. Okay, let's log in. This is the wrong account. Log in with GitHub. Hello, KZZMRZ. How's it going? We are trying to see how bad. Oh man, I really need to figure out where these build errors are coming from. Okay, Nuxt 3 is minifying stuff. Apply is not working. Sure, I'll fix that. Yep. Pros, sure. That looks good. Pretty happy. Chunks, pros A, pros B, pros LI, pros this. Yes, Vue.js. You are in Vue world. Okay, so that's good. This is production. Hey, I think this works. I'm gonna post this. Oh shoot, I forgot. I don't have a good way to post this everywhere yet, but that's okay. If you go to benkozen.io, it looks like the blog post is actually up now. So if we go to the RSS feed, we'll see that. Great. So this is the RSS link that exists getting back in the arena. Well, this live stream, KCZ MRZ, is for all those who build things web. So welcome, even regardless of the tooling that you use. This is not only for Vue developers. I'm, again, as someone who's been part of the Vue community, one of the things I've loved about being in the frameworks is that we are learning from each other. And I think the more we can encourage that, the better we'll be as a community. Because, you know, all these frameworks that we're talking about, honestly, have only existed for the last few years. So who's to say what will be the new thing in a few years? And if we can all agree on the best way to do things, like, why should we have to keep designing new ways to solve the same problem? Which is often a lot of times what happens when you have different frameworks. Now, granted, what I like about the diversity of frameworks is there's a discussion around different alternatives that people enjoy using. But again, I don't think there's like a one should rule all kind of thing. But anyhow. All right, so this is working. We are good. I think my only thing now is, yep. All right, this is good enough. I don't love the fact that there are still kind of build log errors, but we did fix the initial issue, which is that we have a way to fetch Ghost, we have a way to fetch locally to Charlie's desk, but one would make life easier. It would simplify, like, I think is a point in simplifying a standard for doing things. In that regard, I do agree. However, diversity is important because of how many different problems there are. It's the whole, when you're holding a hammer in your hand, everything looks like a nail. Sometimes you need a screwdriver. And what I've noticed about a lot of the frameworks is oftentimes they tend to come from someone's background, which is understandable. It was a tool designed to solve a specific problem. Just like how when React was being built, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, people don't know about the history, but Facebook's problem of being a social media site was primarily its like problem set that it was solving. And so take the instance of Svelte, for example. Svelte was, I read recently that I think this was when Rich Harris was working in the news industry, and he needed something that like worked the way he needed to for news. So different tools, different problem sets. Hopefully we can converge on some primitives. Like, for example, image optimization, there's like a general set of image optimizations, but after that, it's not as if like it's different for news versus different for like social media, for example. But I would say when it comes to applications, though, it can get pretty bespoke in terms of what different tools need. So anyhow, KCZ MRZ. I'm located in the United States, if that's what you're asking. So that's where I am. Currently located on the West Coast and coming to you live from the West Coast. Okay, so solve that problem. Pretty happy with that. Now, I think in the remaining part of this session, what I do want to do is try to refactor. I've had this vision in my head for quite some time, and I like to figure out how we can get Nuxt content to read from a different directory. So right now, Nuxt content is reading everything from this actual folder right here. So to show that to you, basically, as we're querying content, we query from a directory that reads from content. My question here is, what if we could point it at a different directory? So Nuxt content directory source is what I want to see if I can go ahead and customize here. So we can order it, which is totally fine. We can ignore, we can do partials. Partials is a fun thing that I might want to look into more at some point. But at this point, I like to look at some of the configuration that we can do regarding this. All right, config directory. Okay, so by default, it reads from this folder called content, which is what we expect. I see Fuad here. KCC MRZ, I'm from Poland, and in my country, React is the king of front end. Yeah, there are different regions where that's the case. I think in Asia, Vue is particularly really big. I know, especially React being built in the United States, I think there is a lot of love for React as well in the United States. But there are also a lot of big companies and all these different companies using Vue as well. I mean, all the other frameworks too, Svelte, Angular. So, you know, glad we could all be here together to build things and learn from each other. I think that's the key thing. As long as we keeping an open mind regarding to how people are doing things, and maybe it's an improvement upon the way our existing framework is doing things, I think that's really the key at the end of the day. So, okay. Okay, so source directory here is from content. This is good. I'd like to add additional content. In other words, I like the ability to add other, okay, def type string. This is an array. This is a nested property. Live edit. Nope. Markdown. Yep. So we can extend markdown here. All right. It looks like what I'm looking for may be a little tricky to get at the moment. Extend parser, extend editor, API prefix. I remember at one point there is a way to actually extend the directories that are like this used to be able to take in an array, or I vaguely remember this being able to take in an array here. API prefix. Nope, that's not it. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We are focused on learning how to solve. One of the things I like to kind of keep to the theme of this particular stream, as we work through a working session of what it's like to be like basically like a web developer in the day-to-day, is a lot of times we have to ship things. We have timelines. And I think a lot of times when we're building things for ourselves, it's easy to be kind of a blue sky, infinitely whatever we want. We have an infinite time to do whatever we want. but we're all about making incremental improvements. So the problem in question here, which is related to getting Nuxt content to integrate with different things, is the fact that right now, if we go to my schedule, you'll see here that I just have this giant JSON ref here, which I really don't like. This is a really difficult way for me to manage the content in terms of what's going on. So ideally, what I would be able to do is I'd ingest this with Nuxt content in its own separate files. And so in my ideal world, Nuxt content could also point to my Obsidian vault, which for those who don't know what Obsidian is, I do a whole note-taking thing on it. But basically, it's like a really powerful Markdown editor that does a ton of note-taking things. But because I manage a lot of my notes and of thinking in there, it would be nice if it could point directly to it. Since I don't know how to do that offhand in the time that we have left, what we should be able to do, though, is break this up so that I'm not just appending a giant JSON file every time I'm updating something. So in the meantime, what I think would make the most sense here is if I had inside a content folder to prove this, like this concept, basically I'll probably have an events folder. And inside the events folder, I think we could actually do something as simple as just hitting up every single, like basically making each JSON object its own file, its own Markdown file. So in this particular case, for example, this next one I'm doing, first look at Omnivore. So let's call this Obsidian office hours. I forgot it was now. Is it like 27? Hold on, let me Omnivore. Oh no, it's 28. Okay, got it. So this, let's just call it OOH20h.md, for example. So if I split this across, why wouldn't it do that? Oh, okay, got it. Save, split, collapse. Please. Oh, it's because I'm in Markdown. Gosh darn it. There you go. There's my shortcut working. So if I split the screen now here, then I do OOH28. Whoops. OOH28. Now we should be able to take this here, drop this here, but then this is going to be YAML, so we're going to have to change up some of the syntax, and hopefully I remember how to do most of this off the top of my head. So the way this works with, I believe here, how do the objects work? I think it's like this. No, this is something's going to be off. YAML object syntax. I always forget how YAML looks. This is the list, right? This is just a simple array. Key value. Okay, there's no dash. It's when you have the dashes that it becomes an array. Okay, got it. Easy enough. Then like this. That works. That works. This is all good. So this should all now be legal YAML. This part here, a little bit different though. This is label. So this is an array that has two different properties here called label and this. So this should be good. And then here should be like this. And then that should be good enough. Okay, if this works as intended, we should be able to do something similar to what we did on the blog page. So if we looked on the index blog page, blog index, we'll see we have the ability to query content. So knowing that, we should be able to say local events, and then inside of here, we'll query all the events inside the event folder, and then just see what we get in there. And then we should be able to log local events, just like that. Okay, so knowing that now, we can go ahead and swap this out. Let's come on in here. Oh wait, I killed the local dev server. Perfect. Okay, great. So now if we go to the schedule, we should see something inside of the backlog, which we do. We see a ref, we see a value. Oh, we see a value of null. This is a little surprising on my end because content events, yep, that was correct. Query.look all the events inside of here. Look for local events. Because if I swap this for blog, this should do ref implications, value null as well. Ah, that's surprising. Why is that suddenly different than what I'm seeing here? Blog index here. Console post async data. Yep. Function query content blog find. This was fine, but in this script setup, it's yelling at me for not having the thing. But this is weird because it's definitely in there. Unless, did I do something funny inside of here? Think. Blog is here. Workshops, blog is here. Events are here. Yep. And then if we look inside of Nuxt config, static file name, yep, content is not being restricted to anything in specifically. Is it too zoomed in? I was afraid that people wouldn't be able to read things, but that was one of the reasons why it was zoomed in. But let's see how this works for people. Localpost.values schedule events.find. Yeah, this should work. Why is this not working? Is that because the markdown is invalid? Okay, maybe that's why. Ref implications. Nope, value is still null. So this is surprising. Nuxt content. Yep, we're gonna fetch said content. JSON. Oh, we actually could just make it a JSON file, actually. Well, that's good. But then querying it, query content. Yep, find everything in said directory. Yep, so that should work. All right, so once again, if I switch this out, drop that in, switch this out to a JSON file, say, save this, save. And then let's fix this real quick. Oh, right, it won't like this as a JSON file because not everything's in double quotes. Format JSON, process, everything's good. Great. That is everything like that. Missing one, save. Okay, JSON file is good. Okay, T-Virus Firefly, thank you for the feedback. Yeah, I think at the time I was looking for legibility, but if this actually works, I guess I'll give this more of a test. Then that should be good. Okay, so that local events find is good. All right, let's try this one more time. Let's bump that over here, bump that over here. Localhost 3000. That's good. Schedule, console, ref implementation, value still null. That's frustrating. Okay, let's see. Let's go back even further. We should be able to go locally. First one, value null. This is a little bit odd to me because it clearly doesn't have this issue when you're on the blog index page, but maybe that's because... Oh, now it's fine. Oh, this was... Yeah, so sorry, the console here. Yeah, I'm aware that my lower right head does block. Earlier, Bjorn, we were talking about this earlier. So yeah, it looks like for whatever reason, the hot module reloading is not detecting it on first reload, which is why I was having that issue to begin with. So womp womp, that's what that was. So it wasn't me then. So meaning if I save this to events and we check it out here and refresh, you'll see here the ref implementation does show the array, which has our events right here, events here, and then it has all the properties inside of here, which is pretty great, honestly. So what I'm going to do as a refactor then to this part is we'll see here, rather than having to manage this giant list of JSON files, what we're going to do here, because this is our progress towards making something work, we're going to go ahead and actually add each one here. So this one is done. So that one has been processed. I'm going to drop this. Oh, I have to process all these as JSON as well. Oh, there's some weird scaling issue. Uh-oh. Hold up. Oh, this is... Oh my God. This is... You're totally right. Hang on a sec. Scale. Nope. T-Virus, you're totally right. How did I miss this? Transform. Hang on a sec. Okay, anyhow, well, Luckily, most of the editing stuff that I've been talking about is on the left-hand side, but now everything should be good. And then this zoom should make a little bit more sense. I wasn't sure what you were referring to, but now that I can see it. Okay, yep, here we go. Sorry, everybody. So you've been looking at a clipped version of my screen. My apologies there. I will make sure to keep that in mind going forward. Okay, so what I know I can do here, though, is the problem is that all of this stuff is not properly formatted JSON. It's going to get mad at me. So we're just going to go ahead and fix that real quick. JSON formatter. Sure, let's just do JSON formatter. Kangaroos. There are no kangaroos. 1, 2, 3, verify. Oh, this one. This one's a kangaroo. Great. Okay. That, validate. Oh, no. Format. Convert JSON. No, it doesn't like that. Oh, sadness. JSON formatter, please. How come it won't format my... Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Hang on. Test.json, play save. Format document with JSON. Nope, didn't like that either. You would think Pretty would do its job, honestly. I'm a little shocked at it right now, but it's fine. I'm not going to complain. So, oh, Nikolai, to your point, will YAML work? Yes, YAML should work. So let's actually test that real quick. So we switch this over to YAML like this. Whoop. YAML here. Copy that. Boom, boom. Then we should, according to Nuxt content, it looked like, actually, I wasn't sure if I saw in the configuration, actually. Let's see, query, essentials, nope. Writing, yep. So here, it looks like we could actually take this and then just make this straight YAML. So if I change this now to YAML like this, delete this. All right, look on the right. Let's switch it over to our local host schedule, just like this. And we take a look at the console. Our ref implementation still, let me refresh. There we go. Here, let me bump this over. This is our array with our value. And as we can see here, we have all the proper pieces here in terms of the expected path. Yep. And then prototype. Although it's interesting. It's interesting. It's a body. Nope. Array here. Yep. Prototype object. Value. Target. But it's interesting. It's reading all this stuff, but actually I just realized where's all the properties from it? Because here's all my... Okay, hang on. Yep. Ref implementation. Pre... Local events. Save. Here we go. Okay, yep, ID, series, topic. Yeah, so all the stuff in here does work based on YAML. So the reason I was hoping this would work like this is because if we do Markdown, for example, and then we do it like this, this will be more similar to what I can have in Obsidian. And you can see here, boom, all of this is showing up as expected, which is pretty nice. So then what's nice about here then is that instead of having this list here that's filling with event lists, I could delete this and then say event list like this. That won't work anymore. And then if this works as intended, yep, first look at Omnivore is here as we would expect, which is pretty great. The only problem is now, though, I still need to translate all the other stuff over. So let's do this real quick. JSON formatter. Knocking this out. Not that. Is it this one? Is this the giant one? Nope. This is the big one. Yeah, this is the one. Okay. 2 space, save. Great. Everything's good. Can I just copy this? Valid RFC. Yeah. Okay. Save all this. Okay, now we can go back and we can say, go back to this piece, convert JSON to YAML, although it didn't like that. So let's do this one at a time. That, and then convert to YAML. Didn't like that either. Wow, it's really finicky. Super, super finicky. Okay, so that's that. I'll leave these two over these three. So then it's like this. So then we can say new file ooh27.md, say, oh, what, not just save. We're doing it like this. So again, my ultimate plan is to get this up and running in Obsidian. But if this works now as intended, and we go back here and refresh, oh, did not see those changes. Come on. Local events was accessed during render, but not during this. Where am I doing local events? Oh, silly me. Okay, yep, that's good. 27 should be here. That's rendering correctly. This is running out here as correct. So maybe it's not noticing the changes inside of Nuxt content directory. That is my current running guess. Hey, I see Alex here in the chat. How's it going? Nope, this is bad. Because actually, if I have a guess, I think I know why. It's because event list.value is the upcoming new date recording date end. T-Virus Firefly. So this is basically just a proof of concept to show that basically of what it will look like. So eventually I do want all this content being managed in Obsidian. So that's why you saw me playing around with all the formatting, is because ideally I'd like to be able to put like a body of text down here that then updates like YouTube or whatever. So in the meantime, this is what the future of it will look like. But what I'm a little saddened by is that it doesn't actually show the recording date for some reason, which is really odd. Given that if we take a look at the container and see what's going on, I really want to find out what is the problem here. Nuxt layout. Okay, let's see. Pre-matched. We're not looking at routes right now. We're looking much lower. Looking at the page. Looking at the provider, schedule. Oh, it cannot filter because it's saying there's a null. But that's a little bit weird given that formatted event date. Wait, oh, because it's saying event list is null, but somehow event upcoming list has it? That doesn't make any sense. Why does upcoming events have it, but not the other one? OOH is here, 28. Yep. OOH 28 appears, but it does not appear for OOH 27, which, as we can see here, is ultimately identical, even though this is technically wrong. Like that. Maybe it's because of this. Oh, there is a oh, this is like a weird formatting thing that did happen. Maybe it's a parsing thing at this point. Okay, so that okay, there we go. Okay, it was a parsing thing. Wonderful. Okay. So this means we were successful then at basically refactoring our data, which I actually think is an important thing. So I guess let me just sort of demo this here as like a final, like this is what we have, and then we'll kind of wrap it up for today. So when we're looking at data here, managing locally within your site, obviously if you're working with like a huge team where you have a headless CMS that's like pulling in a bunch of stuff, this is not relevant to you. However, in the event you're working on like local applications where you're starting to have things that you want to store in different places, Nuxt content clearly makes it really easy for you to split out your data in a modular way so that it can be managed as either individual files or whatnot as you see fit. Which I really like, because rather than having to, as we saw before, I had my event list inside of here that had like a giant list of JSON, like a giant JSON data structure, which again, you don't really care about in the schedule directory. When you're inside of the schedule view component, you're there to manage the schedule and like make sure it's displayed correctly, rendering correctly. But when you're managing your schedule, you'd ideally like to do that somewhere else. So it's kind of neat that you can actually have that then separated from your actual data pipeline. So my only thing now is trying to figure out if I can add an additional source to content, which I believe is possible. And once I do figure that out, I will definitely do a little write-up on it because it wasn't as obvious based on the docs from what I could find. And then once we have that, then we will have the ultimate where I guess I'll just do a sneak peek of this. But like you can see here that what I do is I like to manage all my Build with Ben, all my live stream stuff inside of Obsidian. So I'd be updating the front matter and stuff. And then that would automatically get fed into my website, which would be pretty sweet if that is the case. So pretty excited for that. All right, anyhow, let's switch on over to the end screen. Okay, so this was a little bit hazardous going through the merger of the Ghost and Nuxt content as we started to figure out how to get those two together. But that's part of what we're all here to do, right? Is figuring out how we can piece together multiple sources of content in a way that makes it easy for us to manage. And so here I'm starting to play around with that, and honestly, it was pretty interesting to see just how we could the different strategies for managing that. Granted, we still have some build errors when it comes to Nuxt trying to fetch ghosts like from every single slug. So I wonder if there's a way for me to like whitelist a bunch of URLs to be like, you already know these are all local, and then if you know these are local, then keep it local kind of bit. But in the meantime, I'll have to play around with this concept until I figure it out. But anyhow, okay. That is it, I think, for this particular session. For those wanting to join me for Obsidian Office Hours, that's happening tomorrow. So if you're looking to join me live, you can always check out the website, bencodezen.io/schedule. And we'll be looking at a reader app called Omnivore, which will basically help you to sync things that you're reading into your Obsidian Vault app. But in the meantime, for those of us doing web dev, hope you had fun hanging out today. I certainly did, and really glad that I got the Nuxt content, Ghost CMS stuff all working on my site now in terms of integration. So anyone looking to see my new content, I'm really excited because I get to write more stuff now, schedule it with Ghost CMS, and you all will be able to see it as intended. So Alex, yes, so it's like Readwise, but it's free and open source, which is why I'm actually diving into it, because I know that Readwise does have a pricing tier that's not always accessible to everyone. So I want to take a look at Omnivore and just see how far we can get with it. So, all right, with that said, thanks everyone for hanging out today. It was a blast. I will talk to you all later. Bye-bye.